Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world, the world away. We now got part 56 of Hachette Part Works, Build the Terminator. I say Hachette Part Works, but if you want to start this yourself, you can head on over to the Agora Models site and you can actually order this here or buy a pack. So you'll get 10 stages at a time and you'll be able to build this for yourself. In this issue, we're going to be assembling the right hip joint. Looking just like that. A few little pieces on here, but there is quite an in-depth load to do. We're going to be taking this part from last time, looking just like that with this area here on top. We're going to be fitting a joint connector onto that, and then we're going to be attaching this to the Terminator. So at the end, we're going to have this locked into place. We've got a couple of details which are going to go into that joint section to reinforce it as well. So that should be a nice strong connection. In the next issue, we're going to finish the right hip joint and we're going to be assembling a left leg part. So we're going to start getting the parts for the legs coming in that issue. It's quite interesting that we're building a Terminator from a dystopian future, and obviously we're going through that sort of thing at the moment with the virus that's going around. One of my viewers did ask that if you remember these pictures here from Mad Max 2, do we actually have to start looking like this now, or is it a gradual transition into this apparel? I thought that was quite funny, but anyway, gotta keep smiling, always keep smiling. Without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, if you remember the last videos we did, I said this is loose and this is probably going to be bolted in. Well, what we need to do on this side is we're going to turn it round so we've got this section showing here. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting this plastic section, which is part of the fire assembly, that's just going to go in between the screw lugs that we've got there. As you can see, we've got cutouts. It's going to go this way round. So let's feed that in there so that sits nice and flush in there. And that should go all the way to the bottom just like that. Then we're going to be fitting the hip joint. Now this is going to take a lot of stress from the actual weight of the leg and being able to move it around. You'd be pleased to know this is metal, so that's excellent news. I'm sure this is going to be able to hold the weights and stresses that's going to be going on there. So this is actually just going to go all the way down and out the other side there. So that's going to sit in just like that, and that from the bottom. And then we're going to need to put this just to one side for a second as we bring up the Terminator. Once again, this is the Terminator lying down nice and gently there, because we're going to be working on this joint just here. As a matter of fact, if I turn him around a little bit better, it might make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing there. Now, before I put that into place, I want you to look into that hole. You can actually see two notches in there. Now, what we do is when we're actually going to attach this to that, those two notches, if I just take this part back out again, are going to match the two notches that we've got on there. So we're going to put this in. I'm lining it up kind of like where it's going to go, revolving it around just to make sure that those notches are in place. And you'll know that because you won't be able to turn the little ball joint in there around. Now where we do put this is quite loose to start off with. I am aware of that. We're going to be fixing that in a second. And we're going to be attaching that with a 3x8mm screw. Now you must make sure that that's attached exactly as it needs to be. I'm going to put the screw through there. We'll tighten this up and that will keep this into place, making sure it's as tight as you can get it. I don't want to go over the top with this, but that is really tight there. Now as you can see, you've still got some movement in there. We are aware of that. Now we're going to be putting this part over the top of those lugs that we saw last time. You see you've got the same 4 indents on that, and I have moved my camera around so you might be able to see this a little bit better, because this is just going to go in just like this, fitting over those lugs. So they're in nice and tight in there. Then we're going to be putting the metal dome hip joint cap in, which looks like this. Once again, this is metal, so this is going to follow exactly what we just saw there. It's going to fit into place just over the top, just like that. Hopefully you can see this on the camera there. I'm just making sure that if you pull the leg out, it makes these lugs a lot more easy to actually just slip it over the top of. And then we've got a metal cap to put over the side of it. Now, if you look at this metal cap, it looks like that from both sides, but you've got 2 areas here which have got enclosed screw holes. Now, they need to go horizontal to the actual fire part that we've just put in there. So when I put this in, it's going to go over the top, but it's going to line up with those other lugs just like that. Now, we're going to secure these in with 2x18mm, and as you see, we've got 5 in the bag there. We're only going to need 4 of these. So we'll get these open. And then the first 2 I'm going to put in are going to be these ones right here, just to make sure everything's lined up. So I'll get this starting to be screwed in. Once again, I'm not going to screw it in all the way. I'm just going to put enough in there just to ensure that it's in tight. Now when you tighten these screws up, make sure that one goes in as well, it's going to stiffen that wobble that you saw of the leg up. So I'm just making sure that that's going in. That one's going in fine. Then we've got two more just at the top of the bottom. It's probably best to actually just feed them in with hand first to where they're going to go. Do this one as well. And then once again, we're going to screw those in. And then tighten them all up. Now once they're all tight, you're going to see how stiff this leg joint actually is. There we go, they're all tight. Now as you can see, you've got that sort of play because there's a ball joint in there, but now doesn't move. It's very rigid. That's an excellent joint, I have to say, and there's a lot of strength in that joint. And guess what? That's all there is to do in this issue. But I am actually really impressed with that. That was a great issue to be going on with. So what do you think of that? Huh? It's great to see some metal parts. I'm glad of that, and it's actually given me some faith for the whole leg section being very strong, so we can manipulate it without the risk of breaking the thing. But if you want to get this yourself, I said you can still get this from Agora Models now, and I've put the link down here to the Agora Models website. I do believe it's worldwide, but if you're not in a country that's listed, just get in touch with them and they'll be able to let you know that as well. If you like this video, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Tomorrow we've got the Spitfire. Take care.